Six dudes and a six-pack. This is what happens when a monster truck rally meets a television evangelist. Whatever the hell that means. Six dudes and a six-pack. Exploding all up inside your ear holes. And you thought earwax was gross.
Welcome back, everybody. Six dudes in the six-pack. Hanging out with Trey himself, Mr. Ryan of the Ryan of all Ryans. And
what's up, man?
Not much, man. Sitting there thinking you was eating a Twinkie there for a minute until you held it up to the screen there.
I only wish that I could eat Twinkies. I'm eating a friggin' apple. But this is a Honeycrisp apple, which is pretty much the best apple I've ever had. It's pretty damn awesome. They're a little bourgeois, if you will. They can be kind of expensive. You go to your normal grocery stores and buy them, but I get them at Aldi, and they're not that expensive there. And Walmart's got them pretty decent too. So for all you Walmart haters out there, I understand. Go to Aldi. Shut up.
So what makes that one so much better than just like a Fiji or?
You didn't hear that? It was all crispy. If you like a good soggy, mushy apple or something, get yourself a traditional red apple or whatever from any diner in America, right? Or an Air Force chow hall dining facility. But if you want something crisp and delicious and maybe not as good for you, I don't know. They're called Honeycrisp. So what are the odds this thing's actually all that nourishing? It's a pretty tasty apple.
Well, I'm familiar. Just wanted to hear why you liked them. Steffi, Mrs. Trey, likes her some Honeycrisp a whole lot. So I'm not a big apple guy, man. I like apple pie. I like apple cobbler. But you give me a raw apple, I don't want nothing to do with it. Well,
in fairness, there's a huge variety of different apples for a reason, right? They're not for everybody. You got Gala apples and Granny Smiths and these Honeycrisps and God knows how many other ones, green, red, you name it. There's a lot of different apples out there for all different kinds of tastes. But I will tell you this, if I could figure out this OnlyFans thing and get some guys to pay me like $1 a piece to watch me eat a banana real slow, that might be the way to go. You get your fruit and you get paid.
You might be onto something because I like bananas a whole bunch too. And they want it sensual. I do sensual. They want it comedic. I'll do it comedic.
Yeah.
They want just someone just mowing it down like he's never eaten a banana before and he's like King Kong. I'll do it.
Absolutely, man. That's the beautiful thing about fruit.
Pay me minimum wage, man. Just make sure I get all the bananas I want. It's a good gig.
Yeah.
Oh, I'd sit there and find a way, I'd find a way to cream a banana between my toes and sit there and raise it up and eat it that way if they want. I can get freaky deaky, man.
Yeah, cream toe bananas. That's pretty good stuff.
Whatever they would like, I would do it.
See, so you think that there's nothing grosser than watching somebody eat an apple on TV, whatever, on screen, and then we start talking about banana toes. That's pretty gross.
But that's the way the conversation leads you with the six dudes and six pack, man.
I'm okay with it.
You're gonna get.
What are you gonna do, man?
Live life.
I'll tell you, speaking of things that don't make much sense anymore, that phone right there, that's still the old landline phone that's plugged in here at the old hotel. I picked it up and called the front desk the other day. It's just the worst crackle. Like, why even bother having this stuff if it ain't going to work right? Like, it'd be just as well to pick up my cell phone and call down to the front desk and say, hey, what's up? So, I don't know. Don't have this stuff in the room if it ain't going to work, people.
No.
It doesn't matter. It can take an okay place and make it a dump. It can take a really nice place and make it okay.
That was going to bring me to my question, man. So are you staying in a fucking shithole or what?
No. We're staying in a pretty decent place. I mean, for the area, it's reflective.
Because like you said, if you got something like that in there, it does make it suspect. So.
Yep. I'll tell you, if you're passing through the Jackson area, Jackson, Mississippi area, then Byram is a perfectly nice place to stay. And the Holiday Inn Express is probably the nicest place they have. And do not expect the same amenities and everything else you're going to get at a Holiday Inn Express, someplace else. What I can say is the front desk clerk, the manager, she's not the front desk clerk. Ebony is a phenomenal human being and super, super friendly and very accommodating to all of the guests that were coming in there and bombarding her with requests the other day when I happened to check in. So very gracious people, and I'm happy to be here. Just down the road from here, coincidentally, is a place called Crystal Springs, Mississippi. In Crystal Springs, Mississippi, if you look at the next batch of tomatoes you buy, there's a good chance that they are from Crystal Springs, Mississippi. It is the tomato capital of the world.
Interesting. So is it a certain type of tomato, or they run the mill?
No, they do all of them, as far as I know. So now in the wintertime, of course, a lot of your tomatoes are going to come from Central and South America. It's a little hard to grow tomatoes anywhere north of the equator come January.
Oh man, it's almost a science to grow them in Wisconsin, man.
Yeah. You got such a short season.
You have to start them inside, no matter what people say, and you have to have the lighting on them. They have to have the right heat and go through that. And then when you know you're not going to get that day where Mother Nature decides she wants to unleash hell on you once more and ruin everything.
Oh, yeah. If I don't jump on it right away, I won't get a garden started indoors this year. But, I'm not going to get back until April, like April 10th or something. So I will not get a garden started inside if I don't jump on it like April 11th and go out there and get all them seeds put into something.
You think if you do, are you going big like you usually do, or no?
If I do what?
If you do go ahead and plant your garden, are you going big, or are you? Because you usually have
a
big garden, don't you?
I used to, yeah. I used to do as big as I could, especially at that little place in Wisconsin. I mean, you just needed a place for the beagles to take a poop, and then I could go out there and plant as big a garden as I wanted. Other than that, but it was. What's funny is now we're on 2.5 acres, and I planted the smallest garden I've ever had in my life last year. So I've got the most property I've ever had, but the smallest garden.
No.
What are you gonna do?
It takes a lot of time and effort, and consistency to really.
It does. And when you're running as many careers as I am right now, I'm trying to juggle as many things, and taking care of that property, fixing up the barn, and doing all that. It takes a lot out of your time. So, if a garden is nothing if not needy, and I'm just not the kind of person that is able to give back to it right now. I don't want to grow a shitty one.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say. And it can get costly with different kind of fertilizers or boosts that you want to put into it, unless you just got a natural green thumb. A lot of times, a lot of people need that stuff, especially up here, to really get things amped up real quick. So that way, it drops at the time it's supposed to and doesn't ruin.
Yeah, you're right, man. In Wisconsin, North Dakota, anywhere around there, Minnesota and so forth, Upper Michigan, you got to be on your game, man, because it's such a short growing season.
Yeah.
So, and it's not a bad idea to grow the cold weather crops. That's why beets do so well up north. Your green beans and just about anything that grows on those vines, it's going to do a little better because they're late season crops typically.
Right.
So, Now, I'm not an expert by any means, so please, green thumb people out there, try not to light me up too bad.
No, please do. Light him up. He needs it.
Yeah, fuck him.
So I'm starting a new challenge tonight.
Yeah?
Yeah. I had a dream last night and decided I wanted to make a video for my Trey and Rome Show channel. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pin, because Kenosha, we have lots of bakeries here in town. Bakeries make donuts. Trey himself loves donuts more than anything else in the world. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pin chain donut places against local bakeries. And then that's going to be one bracket. So I'm going to have it all bracketed out. It's going to look really cool. On the other side, I'm going to have like supermarkets versus gas stations. And we're going to start off and we're just going to do a glazed donut. And I'm going to try a whole bunch of different kinds and see who makes the best glazed donut here in Kenosha. So I'm excited to find out. And like I said, I love donuts. So it's going to be a fun project to get done.
All right.
So stay tuned for that one, my man.
I'll look forward to hearing about the results. I won't be able to partake in that anywhere.
That's a Trey and Rome show thing, baby.
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Hey, so the Miss Trey, now you're Mr. Steph, right?
I don't know any stuff. I'm Trey himself.
Mr. Steffi?
Nah, I put my name up there every time. What's up, bro? What's up?
So how did you and Steffi meet anyway? You and your wife?
Man, it's a long story, so I'm just give you the nutcracker notes on it. So I moved up here. I was homeless from Salem, Virginia. My folks had kicked me out, just some punk kid. And so I was sleeping in the back of my S10 pickup truck behind church that I used to go to. And had nothing going on, didn't have a job, nothing like that. I'd stay at friends when I could and stuff, but had a buddy come in that his wife was in the Navy and she was stationed up at Great Lakes, and they came in for 4th of July weekend when I was 19. And either way, they were like, you have nothing going on, dude. Move up to Chicago with us. You can stay with us, get a job, pay us rent. And I'm like, all right. So literally the next day I had a laundry basket that had all my clothes in it. That's all I had, And they got me a full tank gas and paid for my gas to get up there. And they hopped in their car, I hopped in my truck. And it was the furthest at that time I had ever been away, to like actually move and stay somewhere for a good period of time. So there again, in between, I got a job at the Cracker Barrel down in Gurnee, Illinois, as a waiter. I'd never waited tables in my life. I never recommend it. It's awful, unless that's just like what you're into or you're not capable of applying yourself to anything else. I do appreciate you waiters and waitresses. However, it's a very tough job, so I commend you on that. But either way, I saw this blonde-haired chick who was a hostess at this place. And as soon as I saw her, man, she had on these nice black pants, this nice white shirt, and she's wearing Doc Marten boots, like the old school black Doc Martens. And I was like, man, that's my kind of chick right there. So this was back in the day where you could smoke inside. So went inside to smoke, and in the little break room and stuff like that, noticed she was in there and was smoking. So there again, we'll cut to the next point. I really started fancying her a lot, So every time she would take a break, it didn't matter if I had to be running food, taking orders, anything. If she went in that break room to have a smoke, Trey himself was going with her. So I'd get back in there and we would just strike up conversation. I've got to hold a record, at least in the city of Gurnee, if not the state of Illinois, or it could be all over. This could be a worldwide record, man. I have been stiffed or left literally, because this is back in the day when people actually knew what change was. I've been left a lot of 1-cent penny tips. Had a lot of people walk out because food just sitting in the window, baking in that heat light. Mm-hmm. Walking out and somebody'd have to remind me, Trey himself, you got food in the window. I'm like, food? And they're like, yeah, the table's been waiting for 15 minutes. And I was like, well, it's going to be real good then because it's nice and seasoned now. So yeah, either way, I asked her out, and it was almost, this is the part I wanted to get at. It was almost the relationship that I never had. So asked her out to dinner and a movie. So we go out. We were going to meet at TGI Fridays. And I'm like, all right, So I pull up in my truck, and I'm sitting there. And Mrs. Trey, nowhere to be found. So I get about 15 more minutes. So now I'm about 20 minutes past due. Still, no Mrs. Trey. And I'm like, well, son of a bitch, I got stood up. I said, at least she said yeah. So I got that far with it, you know. So there's a Wendy's right next to Fridays. So I was like, you know what, man? Because I had a blunt in the car. And the ultimate idea was we were going to do that before we went and saw the movie. And so I was like, you know what? I'm getting Wendy's, smoke this on the way home. I'm going to sit and eat my food and just know she at least said yes, even though it didn't come true. And I'm sitting there, I swear, you can ask Mrs. Trey. I'm at the drive-thru ordering my food, and I look in my rearview mirror because I don't know if you remember the old like 90 model S10. The side mirrors are like this big.
Mm-hmm.
They're huge.
They're bigger than the truck.
Yeah. So I look back there and I see Mrs. Trey walking out of Fridays. And dude, my hand to the man. My heart dropped. And I'm like, she did show up. Dude, I opened my door and leaned down in my truck and just yelled, hey, Mrs. Trey, wait, I'm here. I'll be right there. And she waited. So we went inside. We ordered a thing of fried mushrooms. We didn't eat a single one. We didn't hardly talk. We did ride around and talk to the man. And then we went in the movie, and it was like we had an instant connection. We went and saw Independence Day right when it came out.
Oh, cool. All right. Good movie.
Yeah, it was a great movie. However, we didn't watch it at all that one time. We just sat in the back corner and just laughed and talked and got to know each other. We actually did go and see it again because, you know, it was a great movie and people said that. And we were like, well, crap, we were in there. So let's go see it again. And yeah, wonderful movie. But so, yeah, the wife I might not have ever had if it wasn't for Wendy's, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah.
So
That's awesome, man.
Thomas, I never thought of that. Dave Thomas, you're the man. Hopefully you're looking down on me because I'm giving you props right now for about the only thing you ever did good for me in my life.
That's pretty great, man.
How about you? How did you meet your lady?
I was playing a show at Fidel Irish Pub in Columbus, and just an acoustic show for St. Patrick's Day, and it was actually on St. Patrick's Day. And she came up and was asking us for, if we knew how to play Amy by Pure Prairie League, which we didn't at the time. Great song, by the way, just fantastic tune. But just, out of the millions of songs in the world, that was one of them we didn't know. So then she asked for Tiny Dancer by Elton John. We knew that one, so we played it for her. And I think she ended up coming up on stage and dancing around and being dumb and shit, which was pretty cool. And then I found her out smoking. And what's funny is she was smoking in the smoking section. And I went out, was not smoking. I did smoke at the time, but I didn't smoke. And I didn't let her off the hook right away. But it was funny because when she saw me coming, she hid her cigarette behind her back. It was kind of behind her leg there a little bit. She didn't want me, she was embarrassed that I'd caught her smoking basically. She didn't want me to think less of her in case I didn't, which I did. But even if I hadn't, I don't think I would have cared one way or the other. But yeah, I mean that was that. We just had a little bit of a conversation. We exchanged numbers and. I called on her a few times and that was that. So she, I think it was like, that April. So this is March 17th. That April, the Buckeyes had their spring game, and I'd never been to a spring game. I don't think at that time I'd ever been to a Buckeyes game before. With 110,000 fans in the stadium and all that. So yeah, we went to the Buckeyes spring game with her parents, and that was not the first time I had met them. I think maybe it was. But at any rate, yeah, I really liked her family and just really great people. Most of her friends were even okay. Especially her friends from work, just really good people. So, yeah, I mean, it's easy when you like the people that they're around too.
Yes.
So,
yeah. So let me ask you this. the sense of humor that you have, do you share with your in-laws?
Yeah.
Good. So you're yourself.
Yeah. You remember those awful songs that I wrote years ago, the dirty ones?
Yeah.
Yeah. We used to get paid to come out and play those, whether it was for comedy nights or, we would play them in between. There was a guy named Billy Morris used to play guitar for a band called Warrant. If you remember that Cherry Pie song and a few other ones they had. Well, he had a place called the Hi-Fi Club up in Cleveland, and he used to have us come up and play in the middle of their heavy metal karaoke, which was pretty awesome because it was Billy Morris and his band would play, and you get to sing. So that's why they called it heavy metal karaoke. They just give you a song list of everything they knew, and you get up there and play, sing like "Sweet Child of Mine" or something by Guns N' Roses, and Billy Morris from Warrant is backing you up, which is pretty awesome. But heavy metal people, they love comedy as much as anybody else. So we used to go play my dirty, funny songs in their set breaks. And so anyway, yeah, I mean, her parents knew right away that I was a handful, and they seemed to take to that all right. And you know what? It makes a big difference too when you pay your bills and you treat people right. And I think if I was kind of a shithead or more of a shithead, then they probably wouldn't have liked me very much, and rightly so.
It took probably 18 years. But you know what? I did what I was supposed to do. I did what I agreed to do, and that's love my wife, raise a family, and live a good life. And that's what we do. And I don't know, about 6 years ago, I was just like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm just going to be myself. And we have the best relationship nowadays because I'm not trying to be anything I'm not. And I don't think they expect any more than what I'm doing, what I have to offer. So,
Good.
They know that how much I care for Mrs. Trey. And, yeah, it's nice. So how many years is it for you, man?
It was 2007 when we met, and 2014 when we got married. So yeah, you can figure that out.
Yeah.
But yeah, the in-law thing can be tricky. It's really not in my situation because they're so cool. But I've met girls whose parents didn't care for me, and maybe they don't care for any of them. Maybe I wasn't good enough at the time or something. It could be that they had more professional aspirations for them, and I was maybe less than that at the time.
That was me. Yeah.
Yeah. So, if you caught me in 1995, for example, when I was in between the Air Force and what I was going to be doing forever, yeah, I was probably floundering a lot more than most fathers, especially, would have been comfortable with for their daughters. But you get me after I started wearing suits and knew how to talk to folks and everything, and I think it's a whole different story, especially once you round yourself out with a little bit of education, which I don't think for one second that when you meet somebody that doesn't have a college degree, that doesn't mean anything necessarily. It just means they don't have a college degree. That's it. We confuse education with intelligence too often around the world, and that's just not always a correlation. So,
I agree.
Now it's hard to find dumbasses that get a 4.0. You know what I mean? Like who graduate magna cum laude or summa cum laude or something. You don't find a lot of stupid people graduating that highly in their class. That doesn't mean they do smart things, and it doesn't mean they have social intelligence or any of that, but it's a pretty good indicator they're intelligent. I've noticed with there's a couple of types of folks out there that I have a hard time communicating with. Now, normally I'm kind of a social chameleon. It doesn't matter what crowd I'm in. I'm able to find common ground and relate to that and be comfortable in the room. That doesn't mean I'm leading conversations or even participating much in conversations, but I can at least nod in the right places and usually keep from saying something too stupid. But there are some folks out there, like I've done business with engineers before, and certain types of engineers are so ridiculously smart and they're so detail oriented. These are people who will spend $1 million trying to because that missing penny can mean a lot when you're trying to get to the moon, right?
Yep.
That missing tiny little thing. So it's important in some career fields or some areas of life to be that specific. But I can't relate to you if that's all you know. And the other one is, oh gosh, there's these guys that need a top secret clearance that they're just a special breed. I can't remember who they are offhand, but I remember sitting down with their commander and some of their people at one point, and they are so dry that even if I used a dry sense of humor or any of that, there was not a single crack of a smile or anything. Just nothing whatsoever. Not a courtesy giggle, not a thing, man. So in a half hour, 45-minute conversation with these people, you got absolutely nothing but pure. It wasn't even necessarily business. They would wax on about things that didn't have anything to do with business, but they had no humor at all. I can't relate to them. Don't want anything to do with them.
No.
They're not even people to me.
No. And if anything, honestly, a guy like me and you were wasting their time just as much. So
absolutely. Absolutely. I have nothing to offer them, which is why I don't want to spend any time with them.
Because if you see them around, fuck it, this is 6-pack and 6 dudes. You like it? Did it in reverse, sketchy.
Sure.
Nah, so we're gonna do whatever we want, man. But it just seems like those kind of people, when they're around individuals that are like themselves, it is a very fluid, smooth conversation, man. And it's well-rounded on both ends. You know, one talks, the other talks, boom, boom, boom. And if you're sitting there and like you're third wheel on that conversation that is at our level, you're just sitting there thinking different. We're not listening to what they're saying. You try it first, and then it's like you get sucked into this black hole and pulled away from the conversation, you know. And next thing you know, you're trying to think in different ways that you can get the fuck out of that conversation. That's the most less obvious. You don't want to be in it, and you're not listening to them anyway. So you still in there another 10, 15 minutes, and then boom, conversation's over, and you're like, what the fuck just happened?
Yeah, you're right, man. And it's the equivalent of being out with a group of people who all work at the same place, and you're the only one that doesn't. And they're all talking about work all night, and you're just sitting there going, all right, even if you can relate, it's not relative.
6 dudes and a 6-pack. We may not be winners, but at least none of us plays the bass guitar.